I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby, and today I'm speaking with Emmy and Oscar winner Alberto Mielgo from the Netflix animated series Love, Death, and Robots. First question I wanted to ask you is a bit more general. How did you become to be a part of this series? Because every episode is its own standalone thing with its own writer and director. So how did you come to be a part of this?
Well, this happened back in maybe like 4 years ago, or even more, when they start basically pitching around to some directors and creators, and I was just working at Sony, but I just finished my work at the Spider-Verse, and these guys knew that I was available, so they contact me and they asked me if I have some stories that they are like for adults, anything that is anything that is not basically the mainstream, or definitely family friendly. And that's basically what I've been wanting to do for a while. So I say yes, of course I have it, and then I pitch several of my ideas. They like them, and we decide to do one of them, which is The Witness.
So getting back to this season you wrote and directed Jibaro, and this very interesting two-person kind of character study. And I'm curious as to where did the idea for this segment come from?
Well, the original idea, I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, and I wanted to talk about characters that they are not necessarily heroic. I wanted to talk about something that is pretty much like a toxic relationship. So the original idea came from, two predators that you can actually probably see anywhere in National Geographic. You can see this crocodile trying to hunt a jaguar, or vice versa. There are many examples out there where both end up injured or only one of them wins. And that's very much the essence of what I was thinking that I wanted to do. I am both the man, the Jibaro, I'm the male character, and I'm also the female character. I am very close with both characters because both, they represent my past in relationships. Like, many times I've been the one that is going for that thing that basically is going to hurt me. Many times I've been for those that they might not love me back. Many times I've been the one that goes for something that is dangerous, doesn't matter how many red flags I see. But also I've been the one that I did suffer. I made suffer some people, and probably I am the one that in occasions I was going for something that interests me, and I didn't pay attention to what it was behind that person. Perhaps you just go for beauty and you don't care what it is behind. So I wanted to talk about that and expose myself on that, and the different roles that I've been taking in the past. And usually if relationships are not aligned, they usually both suffer quite a lot, which is the essence of a toxic relationship.
So how did you go about coming up with the animation style for this episode?
Oh, the animation style. Well, that's something that a lot of people is asking me, but it's just, I've been a self-taught artist, and the way that I paint is something that I basically teach to myself. And usually the style that I come up is basically the final result of myself not having a technique, not knowing well what I'm doing next. So it's not that I do a research of what a style I want to do, even though of course I do a research, in nature. I do research in jewelry. In this case, I do a research in Renaissance armors. But the style itself is something that it just comes from me without searching. It just happens, basically. It's the result of many years of painting.
And to sort of piggyback off of that, what was the most challenging part of the episode to animate?
I think that, 3D is very challenging technically always. There are sometimes, if you think about it, animation is basically a crazy concept. It's just just drawing after the other, and you create the illusion of life, and you create the illusion of movement. So that now, especially with 3D, things are not becoming easier at all. We need to do things from scratch. We need to create the characters from scratch. You need to rig them. In the case of the water simulations or the jewelry simulations, everything was very much of a nightmare. But my studio is a studio that lives for the art. So I was talking with my head of the studio the other day, and we're thinking, yes, that's big man. Budget usually is on the service of the art, as opposed to perhaps some other films that they have a budget and they need to be constrained with that budget. I usually sacrifice everything that I can in order to have the project as beautiful as possible. With their limits, of course, there are things that when you cannot do more, you cannot do more, but I just sacrifice everything in order to do the films that I want.
What is your favorite aspect of writing and directing something for a show like Love, Death, and Robots, where you're able to do your own thing?
Well, most important is to be extremely personal in the story that you want to tell, and to be as free as you can be. Look at the films that we are talking. Personally, in my case, The Witness and Jibaro, they are pretty bizarre films. They're very personal. This is what I wanted to tell, and I don't see another opportunity out there. Usually animation is very costly. It takes a lot of time, and investing in animation usually tends to be a little bit conservative in a way, because there is a lot to lose, and there is it costs a lot of money, so people is scared of, wow, can we do something that is as risky? But look at the audience loved it. There is a huge amount of fans. There is a space for what we are doing. We are basically changing the concept of animation, at least the stigma of who watches animation. And we are basically creating cinema here, which is something very incredible.
And with a piece like this, another distinctive part of it is the score to the episode. And I was wondering, I know I don't think you were the composer of this, but what was the process of getting the score right for this episode like?
Well, I usually do the work of the storyboards and the animatic, and that's where I usually start doing my sound very accurate. Like actually, if you listen to my final animatic, it's basically right what you are seeing in the films, except for some sounds that I'm adjusting here and there. So the music, I choose it very, very early. In the case of the romance, and the finale, there were few specific songs that I found that they were extremely inspiring and very moving. Even without the images, you get emotional when you listen to these tracks because they are superb. In the case of the battle, I chose this artist that I love called Kilowatt, which is extremely violent. I worked with him back in the past in a commercial that I did for Ubisoft for the same reason, because he was really violent, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So it was really nice to work with him and to let him be wild and violent, right? So I was just sharing a little bit of the images with him and the animatic and the storyboards, and he got it from the moment one.
So if there was another season of Love, Death, and Robots, and Tim Miller asked you to write and direct another segment for the show, I know you may not have a plot in mind, but do you have any idea like what sort of themes you might want to explore for that?
No, I have no clue what themes. Usually this comes kind of like improvising. It's like, okay, let's do something, and then Either I try to pull some ideas that I already have, or perhaps I start thinking about new stuff. What it is for sure is that I like writing and directing, but I am open to also do some adaptations. It's just that at the moment I didn't find anything in the short format that I would like to do. But there is like, I mean, huge amount of, perhaps I didn't read enough.
And to round this conversation out, it's funny, you know, talking to you now because I guess what was it like 6 months ago, I was talking to you you were an Emmy winner who was campaigning for an Oscar. You had just gotten on the short list for Best Animated Short Subject for the Windshield Wiper, and now here I am interviewing you for an Emmy campaign, and now you're an Oscar winner. You won the category this year. So I'm curious, what was that experience like that night for you? I mean, that had to have been insane.
And it still is. It still is. You know, it's like it still is happening. Still, you have people that they are, you know, maybe you see them months later. Oh my God, congratulations! Or even, you know, you go to your hometown and people that they don't even know you and you don't even know it. They tell you congratulations from far away. You know, which is very cute. So it still is happening, and the night was magic. Of course, I was surrounded by some of my super best friends, which that was really, really a cool thing to, you know, to be surrounded by your people in a night like that. So I have super great memories, and, you know, I was sharing the room with incredible people out there, you know, like Javier Bardem, Pedro Almodóvar, I saw Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, everybody in the same room. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I thought that everything was slightly like prepared, you know, when I was walking around, but no, we were just sharing that night, and that was pretty remarkable. Almost like a dream, sort of, because everything happened very fast. They walk you here, there, and then all of a sudden, you wake up in the morning.
You know, it's interesting. I was actually like wondering, you know, do you find yourself, you know, when you're walking around your place and you see the Oscar, you're like, oh yeah, that happened.
Exactly. You just wake up and you see the Oscar, you know, with some dirty glasses and some ashtray full of cigarettes, and you're like, oh my God, wow. That was exactly that it.
Well, Alberto, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best. And to all of our viewers, please like this video, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to go to goldderby.com to make your Emmy predictions. Thanks so much again for joining us.
Thank you so much.